Welcome to Haken, an Animal Crossing podcast. I'm your mayor, Chewy Plays Nintendo, joined by my co-mayor, Sergio. This episode is brought to you by our newest Patreon patron, Sam Shine. Today, we discuss online etiquette while playing Animal Crossing with others, some thoughts on my video regarding is Pocket Camp performing better than New Leaf, and Sergio's return to Pocket Camp. So, hi Sergio, how you doing?
Hi Chewy, hello everybody. I'm doing well. What about yourself?
I'm doing well, pretty excited. I think we've got some fun things to talk about this show, especially because it's kind of a conversation that we were having on Discord. So if anybody is interested in, I guess, playing Animal Crossing with other people who are still playing Animal Crossing, I know that's getting, I guess, a little more rare. It's what am I kidding? It's pretty rare now to find like a good group of people who are still playing Animal Crossing just because it's been out. Well, at least New Leaf has been out for 5 years. It's the only one that's got like online support now.
Sure, right.
Because so I'm working on this video series. The first episode's going to come out Friday. I've got all of it recorded, but I'm thinking about some of the things that I guess I'm going to have trouble recording. And one of them is, so in City Folk, when you would, I guess, upgrade your place all the way to Nookington's, Nook would talk to you and kind of give you a survey, and he would ask just a question about what you thought about the shop. And then you could give him an answer, and depending on that answer, you could change the shop back to different types of different versions of Nook's Cranny or whatever, you know? So it was a unique feature to that game. But right now I was like, well, I can't record that because there's literally no way for me to get Nook's like Nookingtons at this point, because it's very dependent on having somebody shop in your Nooks. So essentially, like, I cannot get to that point. I won't be able to record that at all, but you'll just have to trust me that it worked.
Right.
Anyways, so that's a little bit of a tangent. Let's get into not too big a tangent, actually, because we're going to talk about playing online with other people. Which is, I feel like that's the point of Animal Crossing. It's a communication game, as Nintendo says. And so we're just trying to play together and get all of each other's really cool things. But I guess as far as etiquette goes, it's cool to trade for those really cool things. It's very uncool to steal them. So to start, I guess I want to start with a question. What rules do you personally follow when you visit another town?
So to me, the biggest one that I'm always very conscious about it is not running on the town, on the grass, on the flowers, or anywhere. Even if there's paths, I don't like running. In my town I do, but in other people's towns I just don't run at all. I don't mind taking my time, But I remember the discussion we had on Discord and the one we're gonna have now. I realized how many rules I kind of should have paid more attention to or should have been more conscious about, but this one for sure, no running.
Yeah, and I think this is, as soon as New Leaf came out, this was the number one rule, like the biggest thing that people would tell you not to do, which is surprising because like everybody's telling you not to run. It's amazing that people would have to say it at this point, but there are tons of new people coming to Animal Crossing all the time, and they don't know what we went through in City Folk, because there's a history to this no running rule. For one, running puts your flowers at risk.
Yes.
If you run and you run into a flower, there's a good chance that flower is going to get trampled, it's going to die, and it's going to be gone. You don't know how valuable that flower is. Right. People are pretty particular about their towns, and I think this is like the basic part of the rule. I think the key thing that I guess new players of Animal Crossing who just came in New Leaf, they don't know what life was like in Animal Crossing City Folk, where running, it just had such a huge effect on
Uh,
deteriorating your grass. Like it
right.
would destroy your town and it would look terrible. It would just look like a mound of dirt everywhere. And you'd essentially be waiting for winter for things to like, once it snows, it just reset everything
Right.
essentially. But nobody wants to wait till winter. They want their grass to look good when it's out, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I guess historically, city folk was when animal tracks was introduced, and that's essentially if you run as you walk down the same path over and over, your grass deteriorates. It creates kind of an animal track. It was intended to make like pretty natural paths in your town.
Hmm.
But unfortunately, everybody's running around all over the place
Yeah.
pretty thoroughly through their town and very quickly found out that it led to a pretty depressing looking scene. Um, when New Leaf came out, we got word that Animal Tracks would be making a return, which was unfortunate for a lot of players because they hated it.
Hmm.
I don't know anybody who really liked the animal tracks back in
Right.
that
Right.
day. They were just so destructive. So Animal Crossing New Leaf came out, and people knew we can't run. Like you've got to keep your place under control. They did fix the feature so it doesn't deteriorate incredibly quickly
Hmm.
anymore. So it's much better. Your grass regrows a lot
Right.
faster.
Yes.
So it's a lot easier to manage. But I'd say like the biggest reason this rule was, I guess, so prominent in the online scene was just that people have lived through a town that's just become a muddy mess.
Right.
Yeah. And that's a long thing on your own personal big rule.
Right.
And that's why it's so big. Just so for anybody who didn't know, that's why running is such a big deal for people. My rule for myself is I just don't touch anything without asking, no matter what it is. And you'll think maybe it's silly to not touch like the clovers or not touch the weeds and not pull them, but sometimes people are saving those things up.
Right.
I, for one, have gone through, I guess, a big process of saving tons and tons of weeds. It was specifically for the Weeding Day event, so I could get all the special Weeding Day items. It's much easier to get those things when you save up a ton of weeds.
Right. Hmm.
So essentially, like, I took off my beautiful town ordinance. I'm watering my flowers every day so they won't like die. So just that alone
Right.
is so much work.
Right.
And then I'm just trying to keep as many weeds as possible. And then somebody comes and they're like pulling everything, and you're like, no. I know you want to, and I know I want to, but I can't. You cannot pull them. Also, like, I love the clovers and the natural like look that they give to your town.
Mm-hmm.
So I never pulled any of the clovers. I just kept them because I thought I like what they look like on my paths and everything.
Right.
I would have my, I guess, end goal, which I'm definitely not going to pull off at this point in New Leaf. My end goal was like have my whole paths lined in clovers,
Ooh.
which would have looked pretty nice. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think that's possible. So yeah, I guess let's go down. You want to list some of the other things to watch out for when playing online?
Right. The big one that we talked about was running on grass, especially on flowers for sure, because that's the biggest issue really when running. But even things like, picking fruit, you might think, oh, this person has this fruit and I want it. They have plenty, but maybe they're counting on it to save up enough for a certain item or amenity or something. And, it's always nice to ask before you just start grabbing fruit, even if it's not the rare perfect fruit. Same thing with the weeds, like you said. That was something that I didn't think about. And, if you don't think about it, you feel like you're helping the person because you're cleaning up their town. But like you said, they might be saving up their weeds for an event. So it's best to ask. Better safe than sorry. Same thing with buying items. You might think, oh, they already probably saw their items for today, so if they didn't buy this one, that means I can buy it. Well, not necessarily. It's better to ask. And even I think even pointing out fossils, like they might want to find them on their own. So even if you find them and tell them, or if you dig it up for them, they some people might prefer to find them on their own.
Yeah, and it's funny because like all of these that you listed, like some of them I talked about already, but all the others that I haven't, I can find reasons that or reasons why this would like bother somebody. For
Right.
example, picking fruit. I remember Wild World specifically. Like my money came from orchards and orchards of
Yes.
like different fruit, and so that saving them up and selling them that day was very important to me. Like every 3 days, I knew I was gonna get a lot of money to
Right.
work with. And then beyond that, even like if you're starting out an orchard and you're like, oh, this is my one orange tree, I need those three fruit to plant three more orange trees. Like I need
Yeah,
them
that's big.
to be alive and growing. And then buying items. I think this would bother me if I haven't looked at my items yet because I got pretty big into trying to collect all of the badges in Animal Crossing,
Hmm.
and one of those is the catalog badge. And to get the gold catalog badge, you need to have 80% of every item in the game. That takes a long time.
Yes.
And you need to buy every single thing that is in your shop just to like
Right.
I guess make sure that you have it all. Eventually I was keeping track of like everything I had, so anything I didn't have, I pretty much knew because, that list gets so much
Yes.
smaller than what you do have. um but yeah, I really cared if people bought things. And so a lot of the times, if I did find that they bought something, I'd be like, "Oh, what was it? Can you drop it just so I can like pick it up and get
Oh.
it in my catalog?" So I think that one's got ways around it. Like it's not irreversible, you know.
Hmm.
I think you can share the wealth with that type of thing. So there are definitely things on this list that it's not as serious as a lot, but you never know how somebody's going to react to
Right.
it,
Right.
and you're gonna get banned from a town, which is no fun because that means one less person that you can count on or play with and do trades with. Yeah, it's not fun. Anyways, there are some kind of advanced things that I guess bother people. This one I hadn't heard about before, but somebody mentioned it, and I was like, "Oh, that makes sense." Actually,
Hmm.
I never thought of this. But one thing is, some people don't like when you chat with their villagers, and you're like, "What could possibly be the harm in talking with this little electronic creature?" um, I couldn't think of anything at first, but then they mentioned, well, that person who lives in that town, whenever they talk to that villager, years after, they're still mentioning you, and they're like, "Oh, remember when this person came over and we had this much fun?" And they're like, "Dude, you talked to this person one time. What kind of impression did they leave that you have to tell me 3 years after the fact?" And so that, I guess, I hadn't thought about it, but if you ever, I guess, in New Leaf adopted a villager, say somebody is moving out from your friend's town, you go over to your friend's town and get them. I don't like these villagers anymore, mostly because they keep talking about that town that they're from.
Yes.
And you're
Right.
like, why? If you love it so much, why don't you go back? Why do you have to live here and tell me about how great this place? My place is great too. Okay,
Right. Right.
that's all. I want you to understand that. um, so I get it. I get why people would be bothered that some crazy person from Haken came over and talked to them, and they're like, "Man, that's a cool dude. I should go live in Haken." Yeah, I guess I'd be offended. um, I mentioned also trading villagers, and trading villagers is I call it the animal trade, mostly because a lot of people were selling villagers for like 15 million bells online,
Mhm.
which that's a lot of money for a villager. But regardless, so trading villagers, there's a lot of weird things to look out for that the game doesn't tell you about. This is an invisible feature that I don't even know how people figured this out. Probably looking into the code or
Mm.
something. But essentially, there's a thing known as the void. And what the void is in Animal Crossing is, say you have 9 or 10 villagers, because that's the point where you could possibly have somebody move away.
Mhm.
Um, I'm just going to give an example. Bo moved away, right? Marshall moved away. These are villagers you probably wouldn't let move away because they're very popular.
Right.
But they moved and they go to this place. They're not completely gone in your game. And part of that it works like this for a couple reasons. One is the game kind of just keeps track of when you had villagers. I think it's something like it keeps track of like 16 villagers.
Mhm.
And that villager that moved away, Bo, you can't get Bo back in your town until you've cycled through about 16 villagers,
Right.
which is a lot of work to do. The other thing that happens is while they are in that void, say somebody with 8 or 9 villagers or less, they essentially don't have 10 villagers. Somebody without 10 villagers visits your town, they will randomly receive one of those villagers from your void.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's just this invisible thing. It's an invisible place, and that's just kind of where they live after they go. Um, so the problem that arises with this is somebody has 9 villagers. They go to your town to adopt somebody, but there's somebody in your void that the next day that person wakes up and the villager they adopted is not in their town, but instead one of those voided villagers that they didn't want
Mm.
has shown up. Um, so what people have found is that there are ways to empty out your void. And the way that's done is if you've had a few villagers move away and they're kind of in that void, have somebody with 10 villagers visit your town and it'll reset. So you'll have 0 once again.
Oh, okay.
Um, and that's how people avoided that issue.
Right.
Um, and like I said, I have no idea how people figured this
That's
out,
crazy.
but it worked. I know because I've done it.
Cool.
Yeah, I'd have my friend come visit me. I'd be like, "You have 10 villagers, right? I'm trading this person. They're gonna give me 10 million bells. You gotta give it. You gotta come over and make sure this trade goes
Right.
right."
Right.
um, so yeah, that's just a little thing that I don't. Nobody knows how to look out for it, but unless you're like into the animal trade.
Right. Right. That seems very sophisticated, but definitely good to know. Yeah.
Yeah, it's complicated. So, yeah, essentially, people move out, they're in your void. If somebody comes visiting, there's a chance that they will move in to their town. Um,
Right.
and that's how, friends get some villagers that moved out when they visit. And it's pretty cool because another thing that I found that was nice about that feature was somebody I liked moved away, but they asked me maybe the third time, and I was like, okay, fine. It seems like you want to get out there and explore. And then my friend will come visit. I think this happened with Julian, the unicorn.
Yes.
But my friend came and visited. No, you know what? I went and visited my friend, and Julian had moved out, and they were sad about it. And then I got Julian from their void. And so
Mm,
they lived in
hmm.
my town. And then my friend was like, cool, I'll come and visit.
Right.
I want to come and visit my old pal, Julian.
Yeah, that's a cool thing that if a friend visits in one of your favorite villagers moves with them, you can go visit. I mean, I know that happened with my Alfonso. He moved over to a friend's town, and I went over and he recognized me, but then eventually he moved away pretty soon thereafter, so I never saw
Oh,
him again. But
poor Alphonse.
the cool thing about the Void is that those villagers in the Void show up in Main Street and you talk to them. Um, if I recall correctly, I think they wear whatever they were wearing when they left your town, so not their default outfit, and they would also call you by your nickname.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they kind of keep a lot of the personality they built up
Yeah.
while they were there. I don't remember if they kept that outfit. I always felt like they reset and wore that same clothes they used to wear,
Hmm.
but I don't remember. It's been a while since I've played that
Yeah.
thoroughly. um yeah, so it's pretty cool. I like it. And then as soon as like those villagers stop showing up in your place, that's essentially the game telling you, okay, you've cycled through this many villagers. This villager can move back to your
Right.
town again.
Right. Hmm.
But it's weird though, because they're a new version of that villager
Yes.
and they don't remember you. So it's
Yes.
like
Not nothing at all.
yeah, you're just meeting them all over again.
Right.
Yeah, so I know you listed some, I guess, ways to address these potential issues. Do you want to go over that?
Yes, definitely. And like you said, your main rule is don't touch anything before asking, and that's really the easiest way to avoid any issues. Asking, ask for permission. Can I do this? I want to do this. Is that okay? And we discussed that New Leaf's chatting system is not the greatest. So hopefully in the next mainline game, they either improve the chatting system or better yet, they allow for voice chat. And even if they don't, we always have like something like Discord or Skype. And whether you're doing voice chat or just chatting via text, yeah, the best and the quickest way to know if something is okay is if you ask for permission.
Yeah, and I guess that's one thing I really love about Discord. Like, it makes it so easy to just talk to somebody through that because, you don't get enough, I guess, characters to work with in each message. You're typing, I don't know, 5 words at a time to somebody. And
Right.
you're like, how do I say this as quick as possible to get the right information across? But yeah, I'm already like kind of envisioning how we're gonna, I guess, structure the Discord around people being able to play together. We'll probably make a ton of like voice chat rooms for people to
Right.
use. We'll probably have to put a rule to, I don't know, go into DMs to complete your stuff
Yes. Right.
because
Right.
you're flooding channels here. But right now, the place is still small. People aren't as active on New Leaf as I expect they will be on Switch.
Oh
It's
yes.
gonna
Oh
change
yes.
everything. Things are gonna get busy quick.
Right.
And it's gonna be fun. I can't wait.
Cannot wait. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're needing people to play Animal Crossing with, there are always more coming into Haken in Animal Crossing Discord. Um, yeah, I always see people kind of playing together. Even the other day, a couple people were playing Paladins just through the gaming channel.
Oh,
So
nice.
they're playing other games there too. So anything is cool.
Right.
One thing you listed here that I'm really excited about is personalized toggles.
Hmm.
And this is something we've talked about in the past, but like we'd love a menu that allows you to control permissions for people when they come to your town. Um, and it needs to be pretty in depth because I think
Yes.
it can't just be like turn off everything and then all of a sudden this person's in your town and they can't do anything. It
Right.
needs to be like you have select options for all these little types of things like, oh, can they pick up things or not? That's the overarching thing, but I want it to like break down specifically. Can they pick up flowers? Can they pick up
Right.
mushrooms? Can they pick up fruit? I don't know, all sorts of
Right.
things.
Weeds or clovers.
Yeah, because sometimes I don't know. It's a very personal thing playing Animal Crossing, and you have tons of goals that you're trying to achieve,
Hmm.
and so I don't know. It'd be nice to be able to have more control over your own world, essentially.
Yes, and it can like you're describing, it can get very specific, but it's not necessary because I know Nintendo likes to keep things simple, but give the players the flexibility and the control that they could use. They don't have to use it, so it doesn't have to be complicated, but if you want to be very specific and allow only certain things, let's say maybe like 3 things out of 20 or something like that, but if that's what you want, you should be able to do it, and the toggles would be a great way to do so. As far as I remember, I believe this was your idea the first time I heard about it, and I know I loved it from the first time I heard it.
Yeah, yeah. I'm into it. I think you're right. Nintendo will definitely want like the simplest version of this possible, but I don't know. I just want to see, I guess, people have a little bit more control because,
Yes.
a lot of people end up in those horror stories where somebody shows up in their town and literally messes everything up. Um, and then that leaves them, I don't know, flipping off their Wi-Fi to end the connection so it doesn't save. And sometimes they get away with it, and all your blue roses are
Yes.
gone,
Right, right.
which you
Oh my
spent
god.
forever trying to get. Um, so yeah, it is a game where I think a lot of people who are playing it are meeting people through forums and other Discord channels and everything, and luckily a lot of these places understand that struggle and do provide, I guess, the proper punishments for when people do that,
Right.
and
Hmm.
they provide good warnings about when people do that. So it's good to be, I guess, wary of what could possibly happen because it's the internet. You can't trust
Right.
everybody there. It's good to be part of a community though, and I guess, find a group of people within that you feel you can trust and play with regularly and not experience any problems.
Right.
Yeah, so that is a whole long thing on playing online with people. Essentially, be careful and be nice. Those are the two things I'd
Right. Right.
say.
And be extra mindful. Something that you think might not really be too much of a big deal might be for the other players. So yeah, better ask.
Yeah, and it's good to understand that, like, everybody's got their own perspective on what is right and what is wrong, and just be aware of that. Know that something that doesn't bother you bothers somebody else, and something that doesn't bother them bothers you. So
Right.
it's it's just learning that and being, I guess, prepared to, I guess, just act in a way that respects them, respects you.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So let's go on to our next topic. I made a video. I think you had some things to say about it, but recently we got some numbers from Actually, I don't think the numbers were from Nintendo. I think it was from
Oh.
another, I guess, database that kind of estimates earnings on games, mobile games specifically.
Hmm.
And this information essentially said, I guess the big story that people were talking about was that Fire Emblem had reached 400 million in sales for the mobile game, which I would not be surprised if that was more than what Fire Emblem has sold itself.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's kind of a niche title.
Right.
Not a lot of people play it. But the one thing I was interested in was that they put in some Pocket Camp numbers. And essentially what we saw is, I guess Pocket Camp's been out officially since November
Hmm.
worldwide. It came out October in Australia. Australia got the game first.
Yes.
And both of us tried it out back then, very early. But within that time, October/November to what is it now? August.
Hmm.
How many months is that? August, September, October, November. Probably about
10.
9 months, 10, 9 to 10
Right.
months. In that time, Pocket Camp has made 42 million in sales, and I specifically wanted to know if that was better or worse than what a mainline Animal Crossing game sells. And to top it all off, New Leaf, it was recently announced that New Leaf has now become the top selling Animal Crossing game
Yes.
at, I forget the number, I think it was 11.78 million copies.
Right.
Um, it just surpassed Wild World, which has sold, I think it's 11.75 million copies.
Oh,
So they're pretty close, but
yes.
Animal Crossing New Leaf is officially in the lead. Um, I wonder, I recently bought Wild World on my Wii U. I wonder if that counts toward the Wild World sales now. I guess it
Right.
would.
Right. And I was thinking if they also count digital copies of New Leaf that came in bundles. They probably do also.
Oh, that's very true. Which makes that number a lot more easy. I guess it's easier to understand that number because the latest 2DS console just came out,
Yes.
and that comes bundled. They totally counted it.
Right.
That's why Wii Sports is like the best-selling Nintendo game of all time.
True.
It's
That's right.
because it came with every single Wii console that came out, and that thing sold like crazy. So, yeah, it all makes sense now. You're totally putting it together for me. Um, but anyways, so I just wanted to compare. I wanted to break down the New Leaf sales and see what that meant in terms of how much they made from the game, and compare that to how much they made from Pocket Camp. Um,
Right.
yeah, so essentially, I guess what I found is thus far, Pocket Camp has done well. Like, it's done pretty well. But New Leaf is still in the lead in terms of revenue, at least from my
Yes.
calculations.
Yes.
Yeah, so I guess what did you think of that video overall?
Oh, I thought it was very informative, and you presented all the information very well. Like you said, considering the information that we have available, I think you did a great job, figuring out how much New Leaf specifically has made, especially because of the different price points and when the price drop occurred. So I think you did great estimates. We did talk how it would be really nice to know how much money it took to develop New Leaf in the first place. So you would kind of subtract it from the total. But at the same time, we would have to do the same for Pocket Camp and figure out how much it took to develop and also to upkeep it because, it's a mobile game. They keep doing a lot of updates, whereas New Leaf only got one update, which was pretty major. But I'm sure it's taking some additional money to keep Pocket Camp updated, and we would have to take that into account as well.
Yeah, and I kind of mentioned at the end like a lot of little details that would go into the cost of making a game, which would go into figuring out how much the game has actually profited Nintendo.
Right.
And now even thinking with what you said, like the bundled in digital version of New Leaf, like how much are they making off of that versus like selling it just digitally.
Yes. Right.
And then we have no idea of like how many people just got the game on sale in general.
Right.
Yeah, so there are a lot of like little details about the price and like what Nintendo has actually earned based on that price.
Right. But based on the results, I think which are very accurate. I think it speaks really well on both ends. It's the Pocket Camp is doing well, but the mainline series do better, and I think that's the best of both worlds.
Yeah. And yeah, I guess I want Nintendo to feel like, okay, Pocket Camp did pretty great. I think we're ready to put out that next Animal Crossing game because our goal has been met. This many new
Right.
people are now playing Pocket Camp. I need to look through. I did an old survey about Animal Crossing, and it was, I think, specific to Pocket Camp. I want to look through and see if those questions asked if I knew about Animal Crossing prior to playing the game.
Hmm.
Because that would be a good question to
Yeah.
ask in a survey for that game. Because then they get a much better idea of, I don't know, just how many people were doing it. You know what they
Right.
should,
Right.
you know what would get them? a ton of survey responses if they gave out like 300 Leaf tickets for doing the survey.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, give me a survey, give me 300 Leaf tickets, I'll do it. I'll, I'll do it. That's enough for one big item.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so yeah, that's there's just so much that goes into making things. And you're totally right with like Pocket Camp, like it's a different game fundamentally because people are continuously working on it, continuously keeping up with it, and there are a lot of numbers that we'll never get a hold of. Things like how
Yes.
much I guess just staff is getting paid to keep the game going, and we're not ever going to know that.
No, right, right.
Yeah, so we don't know what costs are going into it. But what I do know is that I want Nintendo to recognize that a mainline Animal Crossing game is still performing better than the mobile game, and they should definitely not just stick with that mobile game
Right.
and put out the new mainline game because that's what performs well. That's what's bringing in the money, and that's what we want. Like,
Right.
I want them to make a new game. Yeah, so I guess did you have anything else to say about that?
No, I'm just with you. We're waiting on the new game, and a lot of the hype in good things about Pocket Camp is that a lot of new players, new people, brand new people to the series are, they're gonna be looking forward to a mainline game, and that's gonna increase the numbers.
Yeah, and I really hope that the people who are, I guess, new to Animal Crossing because of Pocket Camp, I really hope they do check out an Animal Crossing game and go beyond just playing it on their phone, you know?
Right.
Um, I feel, I have a feeling that people who played Super Mario Run on their phone, I have a feeling like a good amount of those saw Odyssey and were interested. And the reason I feel this way is because Odyssey is still currently the best selling Nintendo Switch game. I think Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is closing in on it,
Mm.
but I think whatever Nintendo was hoping out of Super Mario Run, like the mobile game,
Mhm.
I think that led to good results on Mario Odyssey sales.
Right.
Um,
I like the fact that at least in Europe, where the new Nintendo 2DS XL came out, the Animal Crossing one, in Pocket Camp they actually advertised it. They said, it's coming out this Friday. You can get it. It comes with a digital copy of New Leaf. So it would be nice of them to just promote New Leaf there too, and just say, if you have a 3DS, you can get this game.
Yeah, and that to me, that definitely sounds like they're trying to get a lot of those new people on board with playing the full-fledged thing,
Right.
which is promising. That I don't know. I just want to feel like Nintendo is making its decisions on Pocket Camp with the intention of like just getting as many people to go over to the Switch and play the next Animal Crossing.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the goal. Um, but I guess like speaking of Pocket Camp, both of us have been taking a long, 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 long break from this
Hmm.
game. But recently, I heard that you made a return. Do you want
Right.
to talk about that for a little bit?
Sure, and you're right. We, well, I stopped pretty much after E3, but I know you stopped a little bit before that. But from then, it had been 7 weeks, which is almost 2 months, that I hadn't played, and I kind of missed it a little bit, but not enough to go back. But I knew for a fact that as soon as they added anything related to KK Slider, I would have to be back just to get it, just to see it. And they did. They recently added a KK Slider mask, the ones that we saw that Red was selling. And it happens to be another gardening event.
Oh
And
no.
right, and Red is the host now. So to be honest, I kind of did it too quickly. I don't even know what the flowers were or what the creatures were. I think they were some type of butterfly. But
I think it was a firefly. I
oh,
remember
okay.
it being mentioned, so I I think it was a firefly.
I know the flowers were pretty. They were yellow and blue, and they were both very bright and colorful. But I just saw, okay, what do I need to do? It was task 1-11, and it was on the easiest creature to catch, which was good. I was hoping that it wouldn't be part of the second phase or something. But basically, I started playing on Friday evening, and I was done by Sunday morning. I got it. So about a day and a half of playing Pocket Camp again, and it was nice. I got the mask. I'm done again for now until they they add something else KKs later. But during my playtime, I did notice a couple of neat little improvements. For example, it's a lot faster to fish because I don't know that if I'm using the well, I know it's not the technical term, but when you catch a fish and there's like a struggle part of the catching process, they shorten that timing a lot, and it adds up. So now when you catch the fish, it jumps to you a lot quicker. I thought that was really nice, and also for the gardening, the loading times where you're watering or harvesting a lot of things at once, it's a lot faster, and it's very much improved. I noticed a lot of little things like that throughout the game, and they were nice improvements.
That's pretty great because I think most of the thing that bothered me playing that game is just like how long it took to play that game. I know I'm not playing on the best phone, granted, and the loading times are very long for me to get to a next area, you know?
Right.
So it's cool that they are, I guess, shortening animations and things that make things just faster.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think that's great. I do want to point out, like, it's crazy to me that they're improving the fishing even more because I remember fishing in that game it's quicker than other games because like the fish just kind of lock on to whatever you throw out there
Right.
and go for it immediately. And I noticed that mostly because at the time I was playing Animal Crossing City Folk, and I couldn't believe how much trouble I was having just getting that fish's attention.
Yes, that's right.
It took me so long, and I'd go to Pocket Camp and I'd be like, "Oh, this is great. It's so easy. I just throw my line in, it hooks right on. It's
Right,
like a magnet."
and it's gonna hit the lure up to 3 times instead of five, I believe, which is in the other games.
Yeah.
So definitely much faster.
Yeah, that 5 is I think they're going to streamline some of these things. I might write this down. Like I said, I'm working on that next my next Animal Crossing Friday series, and it's essentially I'm looking at 5 features from each Animal Crossing game that I feel need to be in this next one.
Yes.
I guess they don't need to be, but it'd be really nice if they were. And some of them are just like quality of life things that make it easy to do stuff. Yeah, I don't want to give away too many because I think I have some pretty good ones, but yeah,
Nice.
some quality of life stuff would be greatly appreciated.
Right.
Yeah, so anyways, so you're done with Pocket Camp? No, it doesn't look like you're going back and doing the second half of this gardening event.
Oh no, no, I'm good. I'll wait for another KK item or event, and I'll be back again.
Yeah, I guess I was tempted. I can still go and do it now and get some of that stuff because I like a lot of the stuff they've added to this game.
Hmm.
I think that's the one thing that is consistent with Pocket Camp is the new items are great. Overall, I think they're awesome. And especially right now, they've got like the festival type of things.
Yes.
I've looked at those pictures and been like, that's pretty cool. I
Yeah.
wouldn't mind getting that, but I'd have to play the game. So
Right.
I
And
guess I do
a lot.
mind.
Right.
Yeah. And yeah, you just have to play so much to actually get those things. But
Right.
maybe one day, I guess I wouldn't mind seeing those new items pop up in the next game.
Oh yes.
Um,
Yes.
yeah. And I guess when I think about these things, like, it makes me understand like why it's taking so long for the next Animal Crossing game to come out, and it's because there's so many new things that they have to think about. There are new items, probably, well, definitely new furniture sets, probably new ways to decorate your place, probably. I'd say they're growing the public works projects a lot because we got a lot of them for their first run, but like that was just their first time through. Like they've
Yes.
thought of tons of new things. You can see it in Pocket Camp. There are
Yes.
tons of new
Yes.
things that they can do. Um, and then even on top of that, like they come up with new villagers, new personalities for villagers.
Oh
Even
yes.
yeah, there's so much new that they could do, and part of me is very impatient and wants to see it now. But the another part of me is like, all right, make it worth it, Nintendo. Make it something that is truly incredible, and it's gonna just make the experience of playing the game feel so much more alive than it already does.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know. Lots of cool things. So speaking about Nintendo, they have announced that there is yet another Smash Bros. Ultimate Direct on the way. What was your reaction to seeing this?
It was nice, but I agree with you. We everybody thought, oh, another one, because that's what E3 was pretty much just so much Smash, you know. But it makes sense. We had Evo, the fighting tournament, and during the before the last match of the Melee finals, they announced a Smash Brothers Ultimate Direct, and it's nice for those of us that like Smash. And like you mentioned, there's always the possibility of getting Isabel or another Animal Crossing character announced. But what I think this could lead to is, okay, we're gonna get the Smash news out of the way on its own specific direct, and that could open the door to a more general direct sometime maybe around September, maybe October, but I can see one in September, and hopefully that's the one that talks about a couple of games coming out in 2019 and hopefully including Animal Crossing.
Yeah, I guess I want I feel like when we talked about our guesses, you had guessed September originally, and I was thinking maybe end of August, maybe even early August. I don't know. In this case, it's definitely not what I thought it was going to be. I didn't think it would be another Smash Direct so soon. But I guess my reaction to this is a bit worried because I know right after E3, Nintendo stock took a plunge. I think it's kind of kept at that low rate since then, and kind of, I don't know if it's steadily dropped or kind of stayed at that level, but it's down. Um,
Right.
and in response, Nintendo was like, we have a lot more games on the way. And my thought was like, are they just saying that because how could they possibly have more games on the way and not announce them at E3?
Right.
So a part of me doesn't believe them that there are more games on the way. I believe them that third parties and indies are on the way. I think Nintendo's done a good job of getting tons of, I guess, those parties interested in being on the eShop, right?
Yes.
And so I believe that we'll get plenty of that. But as far as like Nintendo games, it looks like Smash is it.
Yes.
Like we've got Super Mario Party, Pokemon, and Smash, and it seems like Nintendo is just focused on Smash, which is fine. It's got a huge following. I'm sure a lot of people, especially after what happened at Evo this weekend, I think a lot of people are ready to move on from Smash 4 and get to Smash Ultimate. And I guess just to recap, Evo, for people who don't know, it's just this big, I guess, tournament for a lot of fighting games. And Smash, specifically Melee and Smash 4, were on the docket for people to compete in. Smash 4, it turned a bit ugly by the grand finals. Everybody's tired of Bayonetta being the character that people play as. And the grand finals ended up being two players playing
Right.
as Bayonetta. And they weren't even fighting each other. They were just kind of sitting around, chatting, not really taking that whole event seriously. And so I don't know, people feel like that's it for Smash. Like it's over. They're done with Smash 4 and they're ready for Ultimate to come. So I don't know. I feel like that itself is going to help boost, I guess,
Yes.
Switch sales. I think people are tired of the competitive scene in this Smash game right now, and they're ready to move on. So I get it. Nintendo is focused on that because they know it's going to be a big deal for them.
Right.
But I'm just worried that, like, I don't know what they're going to say at this point. Like, I want to hear more about Super Mario Party. Pokemon, I guess I don't mind not hearing too much about that because I've played Yellow a million times. I know generally what to expect. I want it to be more of a surprise of how they change things around, you know? So I don't mind not hearing about that. But other than that, I'm like, what else do you have, Nintendo? Because right now, you just told us you have more, but you're not going to show it to us still? Like,
Right.
your decision was to yet again talk about Super Smash Bros.
Right.
And I know I'm going on, but I think the last thing I want to say about this is I feel like the way they could recover from this is announcing Isabelle, announcing a new like Animal Crossing stage, and then being like, "Oh yeah, here's a new Animal Crossing stage based off the new Animal Crossing Switch game." But we all know that's not going to happen.
Or they could do that and say, look out for more details in a very special Animal Crossing Direct in October or something.
That'd be amazing. It'd be the best thing ever. But I don't know. I don't. Nintendo's never really done that. Like left a direct and wanted you to be hyped for the next one. I think that's probably. I don't know. They have confidence that their directs are gonna blow people away. But unfortunately, I don't think that's what people's feelings have been on directs this year.
No, right, right.
Yep. So we can just hope. And I'll be watching it, of course. It's early on Wednesday morning, August 8th. That is tomorrow for everybody listening today, Tuesday. Like I always say, we record these on Sundays. But yeah, tomorrow, August 8th, I think it's 7 a.m. Pacific time, right?
Yes.
So that's 10 a.m. Eastern. Yeah, and you can do the math from there.
Right.
Yep. Did you have anything else to say about this direct or anything?
No, I mean it would be nice. It would be nice for Nintendo to take a new approach to directs, and for example, on after this one, they would say in September we'll have a more general one, and then after they have that one in September, they would say we're gonna have another Pokemon one in November. Like give us a preview of the next one coming. I don't think they're gonna do that. That's more wishful wishing.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think part of the fun is like, and I guess I wouldn't want to sacrifice this because I really like this aspect of directs, but just that really quick turnaround time between
Right.
announcement and when it's actually happening. So today, when we're recording this, it's Sunday, and they just announced that on Wednesday they're having the direct, and I guess I don't want to see that disappear.
True.
Um,
That's right.
I want to hear about a direct and be like, cool, 2 days away, I'm in.
So
Um,
imagine if they do that for Animal Crossing.
yeah, it would be
Oh,
amazing. It'd be the greatest thing ever if they're just like, hey, you know that game Pocket Camp? We're going to have an Animal Crossing direct in 2 days.
oh,
And then we're just like, this is it, everyone. We are finally here. This is the day. So yeah, I would not want to trade that.
right,
Just that
right.
those 2 days of me just sitting around and going like, I can't think of anything
Oh
because
no.
Animal Crossing is coming. Like this is it. My life is about to change.
Oh, it is definitely.
Yeah, so it's exciting. It's really great. Yeah, it's too bad that I know one of the complaints in Discord is that people are wishing they were Smash fans because they want something to feel hyped about. But don't worry, everyone. Smash, once it's out in December, we can get to just thinking about whatever's coming next. We're going to get a lot of new things. And unfortunately, right now is not the time for those new things just because we know where Nintendo's brain is at, you know?
Right.
So one day.
Right.
Anyways, thank you all so much for listening. If you want to be part of the conversation on all things Animal Crossing, join the Discord. Like I said, we had a lot of people talking about playing online. If you want to play online, there are people there to do so with. I have a link in the description of this podcast. It's totally free to join. You don't have to be a patron. And if you do join, you can get Sergio and my friend codes. And I have officially added my 3DS friend code to the friend code sheet. So if you don't have me on there, that's the place to get it. Join the Discord. You'll get it there. I've been opening it up because I am changing some of my patron, rewards. So if you do want to become a patron, visit patreon.com/ChewyPlaysNintendo for just $1. You can support our show, get tons of cool new things. I am working on coming up with more things to do. Right now, I've been giving patrons early access to my weekly update series, which is a diary series where I visit a dream code while talking to a good friend of mine, Matt. My diary's name is Matt, but Matt's also a person, so yeah, just in case you were confused about that. Anyways, you can get some cool things from us. We really try to make it worth it, and we truly appreciate your support, especially, like Samshine. This episode was dedicated to Samshine because she just became a patron, and so yeah, even if that sounds cool to you, it's great.
Right.
And if you're watching or listening on YouTube, leave a comment about things that you think should be good Animal Crossing etiquette when playing online. Share your thoughts on all of these things we shared. I know some of them are specific, some of them are like, is that really a problem? You'd be surprised. But yeah, share whatever your thoughts are on how people should play Animal Crossing online.
Right.
And then please leave a review for the show wherever you're listening. It helps the show gain some visibility and allows our community to grow. And once again, thank you all so much for listening, and we hope you have a great week.
Goodbye, everybody.